Hey players, this is EMC. Today I am going to talk about the in-game book, The Monomyth, and discuss some of its themes and try to read between the lines, see what the fictional author is saying, and see what Bethesda is saying. Now, I'm not going to be reading the entire thing because it is incredibly long. I found a YouTuber with a great radio voice who read the entire thing like a pro, and it took him 17 minutes to do it. I will link to his video in the description if you want to listen to a person read the entire Monomyth. He is the guy to listen to, not me. My voice gave out very quickly. So I am going to read some of the most important passages, basically like summarize what the main lore Bethesda is giving us. You know, the main stuff that we need to take into account when we think about what it is the cosmology and the theology of Nirn. Okay? So let's begin. Simply put, the schism in the human Aldmeri worldview is the mortal's relationship to the divine. Humans take the humble path that they were created by the immortal forces, while the Aldmeri claim descent from them. It doesn't seem like much, but it is a distinction that colors the rest of their diverging mythologies. All Tamrielic religions begin the same. Man or Mer, things begin with the dualism of Anu and his other. These twin forces go by many names. In any case, from these two beings spring the Edada, or original spirits. To human, these Edada are the gods and demons. To the Aldmer, the Aedra, Daedra, or the ancestors. All of the Tamrielic pantheons fill their roster from these Edada, though divine membership often differs from culture to culture, like Anu and Padme, though every one of these pantheons contain the archetypes of the dragon god and the missing god. The dragon god and the missing god. The dragon god is always related to time, and is universally revered as the first god. He is often called Akatosh, whose perch from eternity allows the day. He is the central god of the Cyrodiilic Empire. The missing god is always related to the mortal plane, and is a key figure in the human Aldmeri schism. The missing refers to either his palpable absence from the pantheon, another mental distress that is interpreted in a variety of ways, or the removal of his divine spark by the other immortals. He is often called Lorcan, and his epitaphs are many, equally damnable and devout. Note that Tamriel and the mortal plane do not exist yet. The Grey Maybe is still the playground of the original spirits. Some are more bound to Anu's light, others to the unknowable void. Their constant flux and interplay increase their numbers, and their personalities take long to congeal. When Akatosh forms, time begins, and it becomes easier for some spirits to realize themselves as beings with a past and a future. The strongest of these recognizable spirits crystallize: Mephala, Arche, Ephrae, Magnus, Rupta, etc., etc. Others remain as concepts, ideas, or emotions. One of the strongest of these, a barely formed urge that the others call Lorcan, details a plan to create Mundus, the mortal plane. Humans, with the exception of the Red Guards, see this act as a divine mercy, an enlightenment, whereby lesser creatures can reach immortality. Aldmer, with the exception of the Dark Elves, see this act as a cruel deception, a trick that sundered their connection to the spirit plane. Okay, players, so that is all I'm going to read of the Monomyth. So, in-game books. How should we approach these in-game books, right? Because they're full of contradictions. They're full of ambiguity. How are we supposed to figure out what is actual and what isn't? So the meta way to look at this is the books are literal artifacts of culture, right? So we have to kind of think like anthropologists looking at artifacts. So that is fun and interesting and really enriches the world. But on the meta, we have to think, okay, why does this book exist? What is Bethesda telling me, the video game player, that I need to know to understand this world? And they're being all ambiguous about it because they want us to wonder and they want us to be curious. But they're also telling us something about actuality in the world so that we understand it. So what are the things that they are telling us in the Monomyth? If they're telling us anything, what are they? The first thing the book tells us is that there's a schism between man and Mer. So the book is trying to explain why there is this conflict between man and Mer. And it is basically saying that there is a theological and philosophical division. We disagree about how this all works. The Mer believed that they were part of the spiritual realm, that they were part of the eternal, and then the eternal went and smashed into the material, and now they're all stuck here. They're stuck here in the material realm, and it's all that Lorcan's fault, that bastard. He talked everybody into coming up and creating the material world, and they all got stuck here, and now they're stuck here and they're mortal and they hate it. So they I guess waste their time being angry about mortality. Seems a little silly, but when you think about what the Dwemer actually did, I mean, you have to believe that that's probably actual in this world, that the Dwemer figured out how to escape the material world. They used Lorcan, a remnant of Lorcan, in order to escape, and they did it. And we don't really know what happened, but there's a good argument that that actually happened. So the Mer might be right. Whereas the humans are perfectly happy to be mortal and to be on Nirn, and mortality just makes life sweeter, and let's go slaughter some elves. Why not? Because mortality, might as well. So it's the book is telling us something essential about the political situation that we are playing this game in. What is going on between the man and the Mer, and so the cosmology is there to kind of create this schism between them. And then the book presents us with this creation myth. And it tells the creation myth in several different cultural explanations for how creation took place and what the different theologies are. But basically, right away, it says this is a dualistic theism. That this is a dualism between binary opposites that are in eternal conflict. And there's a word for this kind of dualism. It's called ditheism. And I can't imagine that this could exist anywhere outside of high fantasy. Because it would create a very unstable place, very unstable. Maybe materialism is not meant to be in this sort of ditheism, and maybe materialism is the fly in the ointment. Maybe it is not supposed to exist in this world, but it does, and so suck it. But either way, Mundus and Nirn are very different from Earth. It is a high fantasy world. This is an unstable place where, even though everybody that we encounter pretty much acts like people on Earth, and there are rabbits and foxes and wolves and deer and fishes, it pretty much looks just like Earth. But if we're to believe that this cosmology is the way it is, I mean, we live on a planet that orbits a sun, and Nirn does not orbit a sun. Nirn does not orbit anything. That's very, very odd. Just say, okay, fantasy. And video game conflict is what video games are about. We are in eternal conflict because we are in a video game. And that is good for a video game, not so good for reality world where creatures have to actually exist. So, this model, this eternal conflict, is in stark contrast to something that we would call the Tao, or Buddhism. That would be a bitheism, where there are coessential binary opposites that are in eternal harmony. And what is so powerful about the philosophy of Tao is that it is a really nice model for nature. Opposites do find harmony. That is pretty much why life exists here, is because there's just the right amounts of things for life to thrive. And there is night and there is day, there are predators and there are prey, there is creation and there is destruction, and it is, it's the harmony that creates stasis, and stasis is what creates life. So stasis is not permanence. It's not even the opposite of chaos. It is harmony, juggling aspects to create a place where things can be alive. That is really what creates life, right? So our bodies do a thing called homeostasis, right? Where we maintain a temperature, we maintain a certain level of electrolytes, and if we're very, very silly and go out into a hot day in Texas, which I do not suggest anyone do. I lived there for a while. It was very unpleasant. But say you go out there and it's 110 degrees and you're not drinking water or Gatorade or what have you, and you can die. Like, literally die. Right? So harmony is very important. You gotta keep those things in harmony, otherwise it's over. It's game over. So That's how the real world works. That is not how the world of the Elder Scrolls work. And I guess we just have to, accept the high fantasy aspect of that and not try to think too terribly hard about it. But instead of that, let's talk about what are these things that have actuality and have agency in the world. We know the Daedra. We've met them. We know Akatosh. We've met him. He showed up. He showed up in Oblivion and kicked ass. And, we don't see a lot of the other Aedra. And we're sort of expected to believe that maybe it's because they've been weakened and they're trapped and they really have become the ideas of materialism. When you look at what the Aedra represent, they represent basic sort of procedural, living your life things, right? Work, parenthood, being born, dying, funeral rites, justice, things like that. They're concepts, really. They're more concepts than they are beings who have serious agency in this world. And that is in contrast to our two archetypes that the book explains are essential for this cosmology and this theology. The book tells us that regardless of culture and the names they use and the different mythos that they have, the two essential archetypes are the archetype of time and the archetype of the material plane. Basically, space and time. That's really interesting. I think that's really cool. Space and time are linked. They are intrinsically linked. They are dimensional. Space has 3 dimensions, right? And the 4th dimension is linear time. You can't have being without time. The mythos says that things did not really come into being until time existed, because you can't have a state of being without time. Which is really interesting. Lorcan is called the missing god. But he is literally Nirn. And he does have a certain amount of agency. He has power in him. He's been used, as a powerful artifact. And he has also been able to take avatars. So I'm not entirely sure about there's probably a lot more I need to understand about Lorcan. I didn't play Morrowind, and maybe I would understand Lorcan much better if I had played Morrowind. I have it. I should play it. I should. But forgive me for not having played it yet. But what is really, really interesting is that when people mess with the artifact of Lorcan, they mess with time. So whenever they mess with the artifact of Lorcan, they cause a dragon break. Akatosh just loses it. He just can't. He becomes unhinged and cannot order time for a period of time, and that is called a dragon break. And Yeah, that's very, very interesting because, we know that space and time are linked and that you can change, that time changes with, space. You can, that space and time can change one another. It's true. According to those astrophysicist people that I do not myself understand all of it, but apparently there's this thing called the theory of relativity. This really adorable man named Einstein came up with, and yeah, you may know more about it than I do, but space and time, BFFs, and you mess with one, you mess with the other one. So that is pretty cool that they use Lorcan. They mess with Lorcan, you mess with time, you get a dragon break every single time. There is more to Lorcan. He is not just dead. I don't believe he is just simply dead. I believe that he is still a thing that very much exists. And maybe we'll hear more from him again in another game. But our friend Akatosh, he's the guy we really got to think about, because that guy has agency. That guy is powerful. He is real. He is actual. He shows up. He kicks Daedra ass. And he's for reals. And he's very, very important to our story in Skyrim. Understanding Akatosh is really important for understanding what the fuck the Dovahkiin is, what it means that you are a Dragonborn, and what it means that your existence was prophesized. You exist because Akatosh wills you to exist. And so we will talk more about Akatosh and the Dragonborn and the dragons, and we'll get away from all this pantheon stuff and talk about stuff we know is actual because we have actually encountered it in the game, like the Daedra. We know those fuckers are real because we have met them, right? We know Akatosh is real because he has showed up. So that is a good basis to start from. What have we experienced from the player? We can pretty much take that as evidence of actuality, right? So that is where I'm going to leave this whole little messy thing here, this monomyth thing. Plus, it's getting long. So, hey, I'm not an expert or nothing. You guys probably know more than I do. So why don't you talk about it? Tell me how wrong I am or not. And give me your opinions and anything else on your mind. Just, yeah, I'm lonely. Talk to me. I love it. So, that is all. I am going to stop now. And the next time, I'm going to talk about the Book of the Dragonborn, because that is what I really wanted to talk about. But I felt like I had to start at this silly pantheon. And so now that I've done that, we can talk about what I really want to talk about, which is being the goddamn Dovahkiin. Yeah. Because that's the best, isn't it? Isn't it fun? So, alright. We'll do that next time. And until then, I hope you're having fun, and I love you all. Thank you so much for all of your comments and the links, and holy cow, I learned a lot. I've read a lot of lore in the last few weeks. So, I will talk to you soon, and I'll see you, and goodbye.